had no plan for my long video today. We're going to talk about my testimony because I have to get ready because me and Faith have Cowboy Church tonight. Let me talk to you guys about my testimony. Also, I got a new ring today.
See? Do you see it? It's not stacks with all these ones.
Okay, anyways. Where to start? I obviously don't want to just like spew every little detail about me because that's a little too much, but I did want to give an overview of like my faith has gotten to where it has been because it's very interesting just growing up in a Christian home, but my parents didn't grow up in a Christian home, so it's just like an interesting dynamic. So, and I think it's very common. So I was born in a Christian family. Both my parents became Christians in like college, and then they met each other, and then they raised us in a Christian home, which was phenomenal. But it was also them figuring out like what a Christian family looks like while literally raising children. And so they have a lot of cool testimonies themselves, a lot of cool stories. Feel free to ask them if you know my parents. Ask them about their story. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so basically when I was like really, really young, there was a million times I went through the prayer and accepted Jesus. Still didn't really know what it meant, but like to a child's heart, like that was, in my opinion, like that was accepting Jesus to what I understood in the moment. And so I think that was a really like those were important steps. And then as I got older, you know, I don't know, I was a very lukewarm Christian. I feel like that's the story of a lot of people. I just kind of was there, kind of was like at church. I didn't have anything crazy going on. I used to hang out with my brother and my brother's friends a lot. I played football with them. I played soccer with them. I did everything with them. And that was like my only friends, was just like my brother and his guy friends. And it's good. Like it was a good time for me. It was really fun, but it definitely put me in a dark moment when I realized that I felt really alone. And that was definitely not fun. I really struggled with just feeling like I was the only one who struggled in my family. I think we tend to kind of keep things to ourselves a lot, and so not as much anymore. This is old Dairy family. This is young Dairy family. But I felt like I was very alone, and I ended up, I don't know how much of this I want to say. I ended up just really struggling with a lot of dark things. Guys, if you know me, it's super weird to hear this, but I was like kind of slightly emo. I wore this like one singular pair of jeans all the time and just black, like so much black. And it's so interesting because for some people I think they just like the color black, but for me it was very much reflecting what I was feeling on the inside. My personality was nowhere to be found. I was just sad all the time, but just struggled with a lot of different things, and I just felt really alone. And then it was like a little while later, COVID happened, which was bad, but honestly really good for me because our church shut down, which is super sad that church shut down. But we ended up going to our new church, which is Community, which is where I met Faith, which is incredible. And I ended up making a lot of good friends there, and just a lot of people that pulled me out of my shell the first year there. And kind of as years went by, we like made a bunch of friend groups in there, and you know, church friend groups don't really stick around sometimes for very long. And so I still keep in contact with some of them, and like some of my best friends came out of that group. And that's like Jocelyn. We're gonna go be seeing her, and I met her at Community, and she was in my youth group, and she's still now like one of my great friends. And so it was just a really good time. I really found a lot of my strengths and my weaknesses, and it was super cool. I ended up started leading, which was one of the big things that really pushed me to realize I needed a faith. I needed a faith for myself, and I needed faith, and I also needed faith. Great, I found my friend Faith, and I have faith. But I realized that if I was going to be leading people, like I needed to know my Bible too. And so, and I studied my Bible, but that was like when my faith really took off. And so it's not like ever since then things have been super easy or super perfect, but God has been so good through all of that. And so that was like when it started, and then there's been a lot of building blocks off of that. And so a couple years ago, I was at home and found out my mom got in a really bad car wreck. And so I just got a call, and I was like here with my little brother, and I found out that, you know, that happened. And my mom and my older brother were the ones in the car. And that was just like a devastating moment to hear, because we didn't know what was happening. And we didn't know if they were okay or not. And yeah, I definitely cried out to God a lot in that moment. And there was just like a weird peace about that whole situation. She ended up being okay, but she broke like her wrist and her shoulder in opposite arms. So basically couldn't do anything. And our family just, everything shifted. Like someone had to be here all the time. My dad, just insane. My dad is so amazing. And he would just come home and he would work all day long. And like we would take turns. We would just take turns taking care of Mom and just making sure she was okay. And he would just come home and he'd be like, okay, I've got her. Like, I'll take care of her. And I just remember thinking, like, how does he do that? How does he have the energy to work all day long and then come home? And like, he would be like, okay, you guys rest. Let me help. And there was just so much faith behind my family and my older sister and stuff, Erica, that just made me feel like I want that, even in like the midst of the storm, to have that faith. And that's another big stepping stone of just my faith just like taking off, and just like knowing that the peace that was in our household was one that I needed in my heart for the future like life events that I was going to face. And so that was just a really big deal. I mean, that's the only reason I am the way that I am today. And I cannot imagine like who I would be if I hadn't given my life to Christ as a kid and I hadn't grown up in the family that I did, and in so many things. I'm gonna finish my hair and then we'll chit chat more. Part of me feels like I missed a big moment in my testimony that I meant to say, and that has to do with my sister and the moment I actually like accepted Jesus for the first time. And it was funny because she was in the shower and I was like getting ready to get in the shower with her, and we were chit-chatting, and I was just like, I wonder where I'd go when I die. I forgot how exactly I brought it up, but I said something like that, and she was like, well, like, if you don't have Jesus in your heart, like, you just die. She's really funny. And then she was like, if you accepted Jesus in your heart, we would be double sisters. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, well, we'd be sisters in real life, and then we'd be sisters in Christ. And I thought that was the coolest thing, and I was like, I want to be your double sister. And so, super cool. And so I got out of the shower and I was like, hey Mom, like, I want to do this. I want to accept Jesus. And so her and my dad and me all sat down and we chit-chatted for a while and we prayed, and I ended up accepting Jesus there. It was so sweet. And now me and my sister are double sisters. So that's pretty cool. She's so funny for that. I will never forget that. Everyone's testimony is so different. Everyone's is so important. And the goal is that our testimony never stops getting written and getting added onto, and God is so proud of you for everything that you've turned to Him and given up to Him, and He just wants more of you. He wants you to give everything up to Him. New things pop up every single day that we can give to Him, so don't ever think that your testimony is finished. So just keep going at it, y'all. God really loves you. Like, seriously, you're so important. And I'm not saying this in a prideful way. This is all because of Jesus. As someone who is known as a very happy person, I was in the same, like, I've been in very dark places just like a lot of people, and I have been depressed and I have been sad and I have felt like I was alone, and I just want you to know that it's not something you have to live with. You don't have to live with depression. You don't have to live by yourself and fight your battles on your own. There are so many people who want to be with you and walk through your testimony and learn so much with you, and so just don't ever feel like you're alone. I just want everyone to know that they're not alone. God wants to spend eternity with you. He really does. And it's not just that he hopes you end up there. He wants you there. And He is every day hoping that you continue to grow your faith, and you will be there one day to give Him a hug and He can say, well done, good and faithful servant.